Welcome into the latest edition of the Stealing with the Boys podcast. I am your host, Junnie Riddle, here along with my boys,
Jawuan Williams and Coach Campbell.
Fellas, 3-0 feels really sweet. The Chargers came into town and the Steelers handled business. But before we get into that, like us and subscribe to us on YouTube. Follow us on Twitter, Facebook, TikTok, and even Threads. Something that I don't even have. But guess what? People are on Threads. We're going to keep it rolling, keep the content going. You got to look out for our shorts. Jawuan been putting them together. I think Trey's been hopping in, putting some of them together. Pretty funny one you had, Jawuan. Pretty funny one. Jawuan was the one last podcast talking about Justin Fields this. And, me and Trey we're still kind of hold your horses there. We want to see Russell Wilson, but I think after this Chargers game, Justin Fields really showed us what he was made of. And I think we're kind of all starting to lean towards that Justin Fields is QB1 after this performance. So, Jawuan, since you were the one that was right last week, and don't get it twisted, he doesn't let us forget about it. So, Jawuan, take your victory lap.
All right.
And what was it that you liked most from what you saw from Justin Fields?
Well, first I want to say shout out to my boy Justin Fields for showing these two wrong. I had your back the whole time. But let me get started by saying this is, I believe, his best performance as a Steeler. So I say he had 35. He was 35 for 32. I mean, not 35 for 32.
25 for 32, yeah.
With 245 yards. He had a rushing touchdown. He had a throwing touchdown. He had a bomb. A bomb.
A dart.
Every dart. The passes that he was making, the darts everywhere. I'm still a little upset that Pat Freiermuth didn't catch that ball. But other than that,
him and George Pickens also dropped a big one too.
He did, yeah.
So you're talking about maybe possibly getting close to that 300 range if those catches are made.
Yeah, and then he had an interception, but we're gonna look past that. We're gonna look over that. He was the man. He played another very good game. They had a good game plan for them. They even let him. Let me say this. Each week, they're opening up Fields more of throwing. He only had 6 yards rushing. Only 6.
And he only scrambled on, I think, one time. Out of all of his dropbacks, he scrambled one time. And correct me if I'm wrong, but I think it was that one play where he scrambled out of the pocket, found George downfield, and hit him on the run. It wasn't like he was necessarily looking to go make a play with his legs. He kept his eyes upfield and made a really good play.
The first play was No,
that first drive was a little bit rough. The offense started off a little shaky. It seemed like the edge rushing duo of Khalil Mack and Joey Bosa were going to have their way, but Joey Bosa didn't make it much longer after that second play because Broderick Jones took him to the dirt.
Yeah.
And as Joey Bosa is, I mean, he's literally, if Broderick Jones is the bull, Joey Bosa is the China shop because it seems like he gets broken quite a bit. But either way, that first drive initially, it looked like things were going to be, troublesome. Like, that we're going to start off slow. It was going to be the defensive battle that everybody hyped this game up to be. But sure enough, like you said, the Steelers weren't running the ball really well. Najee Harris, he wasn't even averaging a yard per carry in the first half. And Justin Fields was having to carry the offense. Just some of the plays that he was making, the one that we said to George, another one that kind of pops up, and I think this one was in the second half. They were in Chargers territory right around field goal range. It was 3rd and 15. And this is a play that I feel like is not getting enough credit because Calvin Austin obviously had the big one that he took to the house. But on 3rd and 15, and you're right there on the edge of Boswell's field goal range, and instead of just running the ball to get a couple extra yards to get closer for field goal range, Justin Fields drop backs. He reads the defense. He sees Calvin Austin right there in the seam, and he hits him for a 25 or 20 to 25 yard gain. I mean, he was lighting the Chargers up, and not only that, against the blitz, he was 8 of 9 against the blitz, which in the past has been something that has hampered him in his production. So, Trey, What were some of the things that you liked from Justin Fields' big day?
I'll give Jawuan his kudos. He was right. He was right this time. All right. I'm pretty sure
he was 10 toes down.
You were saying we were doubting him, but I said we just needed to see more.
Yeah.
All right? And we saw more. We saw more in this game. So I have that down that he looks significantly better. Like Junnie said, against the pass rush, against the blitz, he's 8 for 9, which is great to see. I think he read the field a lot better, used the middle of the field a lot more, which was huge. We needed to see that. As Steelers fans, we haven't seen that in a few years. Like Junnie said as well, I mean, we started out shaky. I was a little worried. I was like, oh no, we're gonna be in for a defensive battle, low scoring, no splash plays, anything like that. But Justin Fields turned it around. I mean, another thing I have to give Justin Fields kudos for is, having that turnover and just turning around and throwing a dart to Calvin Austin. I think it was on the next possession.
I believe so, yes.
I think it was on the next drive that he threw that dart for the 55-yard touchdown. Like, that's growth you're seeing from Justin Fields, and that's something we needed to see. Me and Junnie said it. We need to see growth. We need to see him, taking those shots, not getting down on himself when he has a turnover for the first time this year. And I honestly, the biggest thing I take from this game is that we needed Justin Fields to win this game. Like, he took the offense over. Like Junnie said, we did not have a run game in the first half. We barely had a run game in the third quarter. Like, Justin Fields had to take over this game for us to win this game. I mean, towards the fourth quarter, we just kind of wore him down, and then we're able to start running the ball and close the game out. But we needed to see Justin Fields, and he did what he had to do. 245 yards and 2 touchdowns, 1 rushing, 1 passing. That's exactly what Junnie and I said we needed to see, and I believe that we need to keep rocking with him.
And I think when you look at the intricacies of quarterback play, using your eyes and manipulating the field is something that a lot of your average fans don't know. Some criticisms of Justin Fields in Chicago was, he would always kind of stare down his first read. He couldn't kind of manipulate the defense. And something that we saw against the Los Angeles Chargers were, he's guiding the safeties with his eyes. And he knows where he wants to go to the ball. He knows what the defense is in, and it doesn't seem like he's confused or he's panicking or trying to rush the process. And that all kind of came into fruition with the touchdown pass. The safety's right there, Pat's right there in the middle, and he kind of does like that middle of the field 5-yard curl, and he's looking at Pat, and the safety kind of comes down to see Pat and opens up that window for Calvin Austin to take it. And with the jets that Calvin Austin has, was able to run straight up the field for a touchdown. I mean, it was just absolutely beautiful how he played in the passing game. And it just kind of seems like we're just seeing different things, each game. In the Atlanta game, we saw the deep ball. In this game, we kind of saw the intermediate game. And in the Broncos game, although it was shaky, we were seeing the deep ball there and a little bit over the middle in that game. So when you take all the things that we've seen in these 3 games, and we're hearing Arthur Smith talk about this, hypothetical dam that is about to break, it seems like all the pieces are there. He just has to put it all into one game and finally get it done. And the more that we're seeing from these teams that we're playing up against, like, the Falcons in week 1, everybody said that wasn't that marquee of a win. Well, guess what? Since then, they've gone into Philly and beat the Eagles in prime time. They follow that up, barely lose to the Chiefs. I'm looking at the Broncos. Everybody's like, Broncos are absolutely terrible. And you're playing against a rookie quarterback. Well, guess what? The Broncos have played 3 games. They're 1-2, and both of their games outside of the Steelers games, they put up 20 points or more. Against the Steelers, they got shut out in the first half, and they got 2 field goals in the second. And then this Chargers game, right? Everybody's like, guys were going down, Joey Bosa, Herbert, Rashawn Slater, Joe Alt. They all went down periodically. Again, outside of Joey Bosa, they all played up until midway through the third quarter. But, no one's talking about Troy Fautanu being out. Nobody's talking about Isaac Seumalo being out.
Alex Highsmith.
Exactly. Alex Highsmith. So it's like you can make all of these arguments, but at the end of the day, the Steelers are playing lights out defense, and Justin Fields and the offense are getting better each and every single week. And I don't know if the dam is necessarily broken, but there are some significant structure failures in that dam to where it looks like it's about to break.
And like Jawuan said earlier, I feel like Arthur Smith is actually opening up the offense a little bit for Justin Fields. Like the more he's seeing from Justin Fields, the more he's becoming confident or comfortable with Justin Fields doing other plays, throwing the ball over the middle of the field, those intermediate routes. He's feeling more comfortable with that. So I think it's only going to continue if we keep building with Justin Fields. And I'm on the train now. I'm on the train. Let's keep building with Justin Fields, see if he can be our QB of the future. The man's only 25 years old, guys. Like, he could be our quarterback of the future. If we can build with him, he can get a rapport with Arthur Smith. I think we have something special there.
One thing we keep on saying, Calvin Austin, I think this is Calvin Austin's, like, coming out party because he had 4 receptions for 95 yards and a touchdown. Usually we'll get the most productive will be on kickoffs or punt returns.
Yeah.
That would be the most. So to see him, I have a theory, all right?
Okay.
Let's hear it.
I have a theory of why he played so good. It's because a certain someone is about to enter in the core, the wide receiver core.
Yeah, we hope so.
We hope so.
Yeah. Roman Wilson.
Yep.
Roman Wilson.
I'm excited to see.
I think that's going to be a battle.
And I'm glad you said that because Roman Wilson always made his all his catches, it seemed like, at Michigan were kind of over the middle of the field. And both 2 big catches that Calvin Austin had were over the middle of the field as well, which was good to see because I feel like he's a smaller body. You kind of see him as not somebody that will catch the ball over the middle of the field, scared to get hit, things like that. So it was good to see him go in there, confidently catch the ball over the middle of the field, knowing that there's safeties behind him and just, running with it.
Yeah.
So it was good to see him do that as well because I didn't know if that was going to be something he was able to do, coming out of college and things like that. And with his small stature in the NFL, to be able to catch the ball over the middle of the field.
I will say this as well. Something that I liked, obviously you never wish injury on anybody. So Van Jefferson going down, we wish him nothing but the best and hope that he can come back. But honestly, the more depth, the merrier. And with him going down, I felt like that gave, Austin a bigger role and a bigger opportunity. And I felt like he really seized that with Van Jefferson being out of the way. Because up until this game, Van Jefferson was the number 2. Another guy that I really like, I thought Scotty Miller, with the limited touches that he got. I mean, that I believe that was a 3rd down and, 3 or 4. And, Justin throws it in front of the sticks and guess what? He makes a play and makes a guy miss, and he's turning up the field for a pretty significant gain. And so with all these guys getting more and more comfortable, with the offense opening up, things are looking a lot better. And so with the addition of Roman Wilson, could you kind of put him and kind of make him the guy in the middle and put Calvin Austin more towards the outside? And defense is going to have to hone in on multiple different places now that you have more depth and guys are going to be fighting and jockeying for position because there's just more and more competition. But you know what, guys? I've brought this up a lot on the podcast the last couple of weeks, and I wanted to make note of this because of that. The Steelers, the last, I believe it's 4 or 5 years, are 0-18-1 when they lose the turnover battle. And that ended this week. The last time, and I think it's been, so this is the last 4 seasons. The last time they won a game when they lost the turnover battle was in 2020 when they came to Nashville and played the Titans. It was when they were both 5-0 at the time.
That was a crazy game.
And the Steelers pulled out a win when the Titans missed that kick. I think they won 27-24. I was at that game. And that was the last time the Steelers won a game when they lost the turnover battle until this one. They had the 1 pick with Justin Fields, and the number 1 defense that leads the league in takeaways did not get a takeaway on the Chargers. Not really many opportunities to take the ball away, I should add. Another thing to note, I can't remember the exact yardage the Steelers had. I know it was well over 200, but the way they dominated the Chargers in the second half, having 200-plus yards, and the Chargers in the entire second half, with Herbert playing majority of the third quarter, had -5 yards.
You got to give kudos to the coaching staff, Mike Tomlin and the coaching staff, because they changed the team that we saw in the first half is not the same team we saw in the second half. They allowed total yards for Chargers -5.
Yeah,
I don't think I've ever seen something like that before.
That was an insane stat to see. Like, they put that on the screen. I'm like, I was thinking about it. I'm like, I don't remember the Chargers didn't have the ball much because there was a lot of 3 and outs, obviously, with -5 yards. So it was one of those things where it was like, you barely saw the Chargers offense on the field because the defense was just that dominant. And one guy I wanted to shout out because obviously losing Alex Highsmith was a huge thing, and this is the one opportunity we had to have a turnover to get that turnover differential in our, like, at least evened up, was Nick Herbig. I mean, he came in, and man, that guy is a pass rusher and a half. He came in, had that strip sack. It was on Herbert, I think, still. Yeah, it was still on Herbert.
It was. It was
in the third quarter.
It was like right after their starting left tackle, Rashawn Slater, went down with an injury, and Herbig came in and took full advantage of it.
Is that around the time that, like, we just started going insane with sacks?
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
Yep. And Herbig had 2. Herbig had 2 and 3
he had 2
pressures.
sacks. Cameron Hayward had a sack. TJ Watt had a sack.
I want to give you your kudos. That's okay. That's what I want to do. I want to give you your.
Wait, you're going to give me kudos? Me?
Yes.
Me, of all
Yes.
seriously.
Yes.
Man, we should bake a cake.
So, I was wrong about Cam Hayward. Calling him old and during the preseason, didn't really agree with the whole contract situation. But you, this whole time, been on the Cam Hayward train.
That's my guy.
Even during the game, he was like, Cam Hayward. You see that, Jawuan? Cam Hayward. So I'm giving you props now.
Fair enough. Listen, we can do it both ways. When I'm wrong, he gives it to me. When he's right, I give it to him. Either way. Another fun stat I'd like to point out, J.K. Dobbins, the first 2 weeks of the season, was absolutely dominating on the ground. He was averaging 9.5 yards a carry. The Steelers held him to only 44 yards and 2.9 yards per carry. Absolute dominance against the run game.
Is the curtain back?
It's got to be.
I was just about to say, we can probably all agree that through 3 weeks, the Steelers the Steelers have the best defense in the league through the first 3 weeks.
Number 1 in yards, number 1 in points. I think they're the number 3 overall rush defense, the number 6 overall pass defense. And on top of that, they have only allowed 6 total points to be scored in the second half. Atlanta put up 10 points in the first half, got shut out in the second. So did the Chargers. And the Denver Broncos were scoreless at halftime, and they put up 2 field goals in the second half of their game. So when you're talking about closing out a game, this defense is able to do it. And something that another thing that your average fan doesn't realize, in the past couple years with TJ Watt being as dominant as he is, he typically only plays around 60 to 70% of the snaps. TJ's a guy that he likes to get rest, he likes to get rotated in, and on key downs, he wants to come in fresh and be able to come in and beat his opponent, right? I believe he played well over 80%, if not close to 90% of the snaps, because the way the offense is able to move the ball, he's able to play more throughout the game and be well rested and going. I believe the time of possession, and I'll look it up because I actually have it up right now.
While you're looking that up,
was 36 minutes to 24 minutes, and I'm going to verify that right now. But I think it was 36 minutes to 24 minutes. Oh no, I was wrong. Just a little bit though. Still dominated the time of possession, but it was 34 minutes to 26 minutes. Either way, that's been something that's been a huge difference with this team, and I think that's why the defense has been elevated so much, because I feel like it was flip-flop last year. I feel like we were getting dominated majority of the time on time of possession, and our defense was always kind of getting worn thin. But now that they get the rest and they can come in fresh and they're not having to come back right back on the field in like 2 or 3 minutes, they're finally able to live up to their potential on top of the new additions that we've had that have really taken this defense over the top.
No, and I can agree. Like, you don't know how much that means to a defense to have a team that's at least not going to get a 3 and out. So say you get a first down and then have a 3 and out after your first down. Like, that still gives them time to rest. That gives them time to come out, refocus, regroup with their coaches. to get back out there for the next possession, tell each other what they see, and then they're back out on the field and they're ready to go. Like, and another thing I wanted to point out while we were on the topic of our defense, like the halftime adjustments in the first 3 weeks have been absolutely incredible to see. Like, I feel like the Steelers would try to do the same old, going into halftime, come back out in the second half, and you see the same stuff. This year, like I told you guys, I think it was 2 episodes ago, this team is different. This team is different coaching staff-wise, adjustment-wise, just, having all that put together. This team is special. I truly believe that, and I think we have a great team this year, and I can't be more excited for the rest of the year.
A stat that I love, it's 2 things. To end off with the defense, so the first 3 games, 10 points for Falcons, 6 points for Broncos, 10 points for the Chargers. We're averaging, I think, 8.7 a game.
Mm-hmm. First defense in 10 years to do that.
Since the Broncos, right?
I couldn't tell you which defense it was.
I think it's 09 Broncos. I might be wrong. I don't know. Fact check. But this defense, man, I'm with you. Like I'm not trying to go head over heels just yet.
It is early. It is early. Super early, and I'm trying to hold down expectations, but when you're talking about this team not doing, like, the last time a Steelers defense did this was 1973. That's before they ever won a Super Bowl. So even the Super Bowl teams haven't even done that.
I'm on the edge. So I'm going overboard. I'm like on the edge. Only reason I'm on the edge is because when I saw today that we're number 1 in the AFC. When the last time we was number 1 in the AFC? When was that? 2020?
Yeah. Yeah, 20 when they started the 11-0 year.
But we're not the same team as 2020.
No.
Not even close.
Yeah.
I feel so much more confident with this team.
Well, with all that being said, I think we can kind of close the door here on the Chargers. We got a big game on the road again, so that's another thing. 3 out of 4 games on the road. And this one, could be a tough one. We went to Indianapolis last year and got absolutely mollywopped by the Colts. This year, Anthony Richardson is back. He is struggling a little bit. This Colts team has some marquee injuries that they're dealing with on both sides of the ball. And should we make the announcement now? All 3 members of the Stealing with the Boys podcast will be in Indianapolis at Lucas Oil Stadium cheering on the Steelers as they look to go 4-0. So we're going to be really excited about that. But, Jawuan, I'm going to go back to you. What's the one thing about this Colts team and this Colts game that you're looking forward to see? What's one of the matchups maybe that you're kind of looking at to where this Steelers team can really take advantage of a Colts team that, I would say kind of luckily got out of being 0-3 last week when they beat the Bears at home?
I don't see no reason that George Pickens don't get over 100 yards. So I think we'll win the wide receiver battles versus the DBs.
Their secondary is quite suspect.
Who are they? Who are their corners?
So they got a guy named Jalen Jones, and last week he made 2 pretty big plays on Caleb Williams. He had 2 interceptions last week. Kenny Moore, Trey and I were talking about this pre-show. He's probably the most well-known corner, but he's their nickel guy. He's also questionable, but he's a solid nickelback corner. I wouldn't say he's great, but he's good. And their other one is Samuel Womack III. I'm not gonna lie, I'm not very familiar with him.
So with us playing, well, I'm gonna say George Pickens. The first 3 weeks, he had AJ Terrell, he had Patrick Surtain, then he had Asante Samuel Jr. Right?
Yep.
Am I wrong for saying that he might get 100 yards? He's bound to get 90, at least 90, 95 to 100.
I think if there's any secondary that he needs to step up in, it should be against this one. really, I think the best member of their secondary is Julian Blackman, and he plays the safety position. I feel like that he's pretty versatile. But I mean, there's nobody in this secondary that scares me against George Pickens, and that's just a fact. Also, another thing that the Colts have really struggled with, they've really struggled in run defense as well. Like, teams have been able to run the ball, and believe me when I say this, they have not faced a team that that likes to run the ball like we do, especially if Justin Fields gets in the mix. That's the kind of matchup that I'm looking for. Is how is the offense going to be kind of schemed up in this game? Their secondary suspect, their run defense is suspect, and they're missing their best, I would argue, their best defensive player, DeForest Buckner. He is on IR. He got injured before this past week's game against the Bears. And so with all that, I think that this team, in order to come in and get a win and really put pressure on their offense, I would really like them to establish the run early and then get the pass game going late, because I just don't think this defense is really good. I mean, Grover Stewart on the D-line is pretty solid. The one guy I am very fearful of is Zaire Franklin, the middle linebacker. Very versatile, can do a lot of things, but when you're looking at this defense in totality, I'm not really scared. Another name to look out for is their rookie edge rusher, Liatu Latu. He had a big strip sack on Caleb Williams last week. How are our tackles going to do against him? Kwity Paye, solid guy. But with all that being said, I still like our chances with how this offensive line is progressing. Maybe get Isaac Seumalo back. I want to see him run the ball, set up the play action, and take some deep shots late against this defense, because I think this defense could definitely be susceptible.
This might be crazy to say, but I have no matchups from our offense going against their defense that I'm very worried about or like very intrigued about. Like, there's just nobody on their defense that I think we can't handle and do what we want to do on the offensive side of the ball. The matchups I'm looking at are our run defense against Jonathan Taylor. All right, another solid running back. I would like to say he's more talented than what J.K. Dobbins is. I think J.K. Dobbins got a lot of carries and might have played against some defenses that weren't as stout.
I mean, you can make the argument Jonathan Taylor's a top 5 back in the league.
100%.
And based off of the film that I watched, 'cause I went back and watched that Bears-Colts game, unlike last year, he is 100%.
No, and that's what I'm saying. He on this year he's averaging 5.1 yards per carry. He has 3 touchdowns already, and he has 261 yards. So like that is another big matchup for us. They're going to want to run the ball because Anthony Richardson is not looking great this year. And on the other side of that, a rush defense against Anthony Richardson, like just containing him in the pocket, making him throw. Because this year he's completing 49% of his passes. He has 6 interceptions already, and only 3 touchdowns. And he has barely gone over 200 yards the last 2 games. He has 201, and I think it was 215 or something like that. So forcing him to pass the ball to guys like Alec Pierce and Pittman Jr. Is going to be a key in this game and especially for our pass rushers and our secondary. Alec Pierce is a big play receiver, doesn't have like the short catches and run after the catch. He's more of the down the field guy, and then they have Pittman Jr. who has 11 receptions for 88 yards this year. That's 8 yards of reception. That is not very good. So that would be a key. Just making Anthony Richardson pass the ball. Don't let him beat us with his legs, and then containing Jonathan Taylor and forcing him to pass.
Also, he's a turnover machine.
Oh yeah. He had some terrible picks last week against the Bears.
Yeah,
like terrible. I mean, one of them, he basically threw it right into Tremaine Edmonds' hands.
Went like this. I was like,
he just flicked it. He flicked it right. I mean, his completion percentage is under 50%.
That's like terrible.
That's awful. I mean, that's awful for college football. So Anthony Richardson, I've never been high on him. I know that he has a rocket arm and he's a super good athlete, but I mean, you got to think this is a Diet Coke version of Cam Newton, and I would say Diet Coke version of Cam Newton when Cam Newton has aged out a little bit. I'm not high on Anthony Richardson at all. I'm with Trey. I think they're going to try and keep the ball out of him at all costs. I think they're going to run the hell out of the ball with Jonathan Taylor. And this is where I'm going to bring up my first genuine concern. And I'm going to preface this with some context because I want you all, number one, and the viewers to know this. I'm a big Nick Herbig advocate. Whenever he is on the field, he's making plays. He's got a nose for the ball, and he makes a lot of splash. But the reason he is not the starter on this team is because of the way that Alex Highsmith can set the edge and can play in the run game. Trey sent a graphic in our group chat earlier today, and it was and basically the reason why is because James Daniel and Zach Frazier were two of the highest rated offensive linemen according to PFF, and this was a top 10 list. Well, Alex Highsmith is always lined up against what? The left tackle. On that top 10 rated offensive lineman list was also Bernard Raymond, their left tackle, and their left guard, Quentin Nelson. So could that be a bit of a liability to them running on the left side and maybe trying to expose that weakness of Herbig? That I don't know. Again, it's something that we just haven't seen yet. So am I cautious about it? Yes. Do I believe in Herbig? Do I believe Herbig can step up? Yes, but I also feel like he's going to be tested in that aspect between the strength of their offensive line trying to go up against a weakness that people see in Nick Herbig's game on that left outside linebacker side. And
that another thing I want to bring up is we have I can't remember his name. He played D line for us, but he also plays outside linebacker now. I can't remember him. He played D line.
Oh, DeMarvin Leal.
DeMarvin Leal. Yeah. He is playing a lot of outside linebacker too, so it could be a thing where they rotate the two. You know, he plays more of the run down in Leal, and then we have Nick Herbig coming in just so he can get his feet wet in the pass rushing. So that would be something to look for. You know, if Leal plays those rush downs early in the game, early downs in the 4 downs, and goes against the rush. But like you said, they could attack that. If Nick Herbig is out there for all 4 downs or all 3 downs for an offense, it could be something to look for, and that's a good matchup that I didn't even think about.
And it's also, you know, us talking about going into the season. You know, say what you want about Leal. I mean, he's always been a 3 technique lineman, you know, kind of the backup for Cameron Hayward. And they've kind of made him the pseudo 4th outside linebacker. But now that we've seen Highsmith go down, and that is somewhat of a depth liability, it could be something that could be exposed. I'm not saying that it will, but I'm just saying it's definitely something that we need to look out for in this instance.
So they're definitely going to run on the right side.
The left side, yeah. That's the strength
I'd run
of their
away
line.
from TJ Watt either way, but yeah.
Yeah.
Another thing we didn't really mention, we do have a few new injuries to our side of the ball. We have Corey Trice just went on IR, which we were very high on him, looking for him to, you know, be that 3rd cornerback role. He just went on IR. We've been talking about Alex Highsmith. He's projected to be out 2 to 3 to 4 weeks with the groin injury. Russ is still limited tomorrow. In Mike Tomlin's press conference, he said Russ will still be limited, so we're still not going to see much of Russ. Good thing and some good things coming up. Siamalu is working his way back. He said he should be limited tomorrow, hopefully full participant the rest of the week. Warren's day-to-day, Jalen Warren. I would be surprised to see him this week. He just had an MRI on his knee. They'll probably sit him out with the way Najee's running and, you know, Cordell Patterson.
I mean, him closing that game against the Chargers, not to try and go backwards, but
yeah,
I mean, he looks solid.
And another one, they said Najee was in a sling earlier this week, or right after the game. Mike Tomlin said he's going to be ready to rock and roll. And we hope, this is a big one, we hope that Roman Wilson will be back this week. He did a full participant all last week. We really hope that continues to get that way, and we get to see him on the field in this wide receiver core.
I think he was wearing a sling because he kept on stiff arming.
Yeah.
Everyone.
Yeah, man.
You know, no, we're going backwards, but he really wanted that touchdown at the end of the game.
Oh yeah, he did. He was fighting for it. I think we all did. I
wanted to see 27 points.
If we would have put up 27 points, I mean, dude,
I want to see that.
That would have been amazing. And on top of that, I have Najee Harris on fantasy, so I know that means nothing to anybody, but I would have been over 200 points in fantasy this week. Yeah, no big deal. I had a really, really good week. Regardless of all that, and nobody cares about my fantasy league, but let's get into, do we think this could be a Mike Tomlin game? I want to start with you, Jawuan.
It's crazy that you're saying that because, like, you're in my head. We are too. See, all three of us are too confident. That's all I'm gonna say. We're too confident. And what does that equals? A Tomlin game. So I do think this is one of them Tomlin games that we play. It's gonna be one of them low scoring games that we play to our competitor.
What's the line, Trey? I mean, you always know the line. Do you know what the line is?
We're 1.5 points.
You see? We were just two.
I don't like that. I don't like that. Tomlin as a favorite and on the road. Oh, I don't like that.
Guys, I've been trying to drill this into y'all's heads. This is a different team, guys. This is a different team. Tomlin has a different energy about him. This coaching staff has a different energy about him. I could see it being more of them playing a little bit down to the competition, but there's no shot they lose this game. There's none. Like,
I'm with you.
They're not losing to the Colts. They might play down to the team a little bit, maybe in the first half, but they're gonna go in the halftime, make those adjustments like they've been all year, and they're gonna shut out the Colts in the second half. I'll make a bold prediction. They shut out the Colts in the second half.
Is this your steal of the week?
I'm not no steal of the week yet, but they're shutting out the Colts. All right, and the offense, I don't know what. I think the offense will have a good game all game, but I think maybe the defense lets up a little bit in the first half. Anthony Richardson makes one of those crazy passes that he has a tendency of making an absolutely insane throw, but I think in the second half is when we get turnovers, and then we shut the Colts out in the second half.
Aren't we undefeated this year? Once we,
I mean, we're undefeated. Period.
Yeah,
so.
Yeah, we are. But when we're favorite, like on the spread, I'm not the spread, but the money line. Where is it?
We were favorites against the Broncos
and the Chargers.
But the Chargers, the line was 2.5.
It kept moving. It started off Steelers -3, and then all the money started going towards the Chargers. It got down to, I believe, Steelers -1.5. So really, that's saying that there's no home field advantage. Like, more than likely, the Chargers are going to win. And then when the whole Herbert, being limited and not practicing late in the week came out,
2.5.
It moved back up to 2.5.
But now I'm wondering why it's at 1.5 right now.
I honestly think that's not a great line either. It kind of has me thinking. I feel like the Steelers should be favored a little bit more.
Yeah,
than that.
That's what I'm thinking.
Like, I feel like it should be a 3.5 point spread.
I just don't think Vegas believes in the Steelers. I just don't. And again, a lot of people are buying into the Richardson hype.
For what?
I think Shane Steichen, with what he was able to do with Gardner Minshew last year, I think he really is getting the most out of Richardson. But with all that being said,
what do you think, Junnie? You didn't say if it was a Tomlin game or not. I don't think it is. I think you see it on paper, it could be, but I think this team's different. I don't see any Tomlin games happening this year.
I mean, if a Tomlin game constitutes them losing, I don't think they lose this game.
No,
I don't. And y'all know me. I'm Mr. Negative Nancy over here. I'm always having doubt. A lot of that is just my own superstition, because I feel like when I get too high on this team, it's when they let me down. And again, maybe it could be, but I just like the way that we match up with this Colts team. I think this is, watching what the Green Bay Packers did to them, going into that game, I thought the Colts were for sure going to beat Green Bay with Malik Willis, and Green Bay just ran all over them. Now, Green Bay, granted, is averaging 200 rushing yards a game, and they're running all over everyone. But with that being said, I think with what we're wanting to do, especially if we get Siamalu back, I think with an offensive line at full health outside of Fautanu, who is only started one game for us. I mean, Broderick Jones was our right tackle all last year, so I don't really like saying he's a backup because he's really not. He's really a starting caliber tackle. I think if we're at full strength and, Najee and Patterson are ready to go, I think that they're going to have decent days. And, kind of like you said, it might be a close game in the first half, but if we can establish the run and the run game is strong in the first half, play action, I feel, is going to go crazy in the second half. But if it is a Tomlin game, I think it's the Steelers eke it out and maybe kick a last-second field goal to win this game. But for me, I'm feeling a little bit more confident than that, and maybe this is bad thinking for us. Something that T.J. Watt said at the end of the game presser.
After the game, was crazy.
He was just like, listen, we're not satisfied. Like, we don't care what we did. We know that we dominated the second half, but there's still things that we can learn and build upon, and we got to keep growing every single way. These guys are hungry. They're tired of the ups and downs of the season. They're ready to go. And so with what Trey's saying, Trey, I mean, I'm kind of agreeing with you. I think this team has depth. I think they have talent at all different levels on this defense, and I think they're hungry to go out and prove it.
And I feel like Tomlin finally has a coaching staff around him that has the same mentality as him as well. Like, TA wasn't my favorite last year, and I think Tomlin's really putting him under his wing and getting the best out of the defense with TA. And then you have Arthur Smith, who comes in, who knows how to win with the offensive style that he already has set. Like, I don't know, man. I feel so confident in this team. And I'm not going to make any crazy predictions yet because it's a long season. Maybe halfway through the season, I'll make a super crazy prediction. We'll see how it goes. Maybe bye week, I'll make a crazy prediction for sure. But this team's different, and I don't see Tomlin games being a thing this season.
I was already wrong on one Tomlin game when I thought that the Broncos game was going to be a Tomlin game. But as we talking more, and I'm thinking about it, we're going to be there.
Yeah, we're winning. There's no shot.
We can't lose. We cannot lose when we're all not the debut of the Stealing with the Boys pod at a game.
Yeah. Because the only time we've ever been to a game was the Titans-Jags game last year that
we
had nothing to do with the
viral
Steelers, but we were pulling on the Titans so the Steelers could make the playoffs, and we made it happen. We willed it to happen. So hopefully we do that this weekend. So speaking of predictions, let's get into our official score predictions for the game. Steelers favored 1.5 points on the road. Indianapolis Colts. Steelers 3-0. Colts 1-2. Trey, we'll start with you. What is your official score prediction for the game?
Okay, so I'm just gonna go the way I've been thinking about it, the way I've seen Anthony Richardson play this year. I feel like he's just gonna make one insane throw. They might get a touchdown this week. I'm gonna give him a touchdown because he'll just make one absolutely 80-yard bomb right in the hands of somebody. So I'm gonna go with the Steelers winning 24, and we'll give him that lonely touchdown that Anthony Richardson just makes happen, 24-7. I think the offense balls. I'm excited.
Okay. So we both got the same amount of points for the Steelers. But I think the Colts are going to get 13 points. So 24-13.
Two field goals.
Oh man. Yeah, we're thinking similarly. I think if anybody is going to score one, and again, Richardson can make a big throw, doesn't necessarily mean it's going to be a touchdown. I like where Jawuan's thinking. I think that without Highsmith, I think Jonathan Taylor is going to have at least a decent first half. I'm going to go Colts 13 as well, and I'm going to go Steelers 23. I think it's going to be a pretty close game at halftime. Might be one of those similar to some of the ones that we played. I think it might be tied, and the Steelers kind of pull away in the second half. But yeah, I'm going 23-13. Steelers don't look the best in this game, but they go in and get it done and revenge that god-awful loss that they had in Indianapolis last year. So
I have a good we're going to get into Steel Weeks?
Yeah, I was just about to get into that. But, you interrupted me. But
sorry, it was in my head already. We have one lonely rushing touchdown on the season, and that was with Justin Fields. Am I correct on that?
Yeah.
Pretty sure that was
That
our
was the
first
only one.
rushing
Yeah.
touchdown last week. I'm going with Najee 2+ touchdowns.
Ooh.
2+ rushing touchdowns.
Okay.
With Jalen Warren being a little bit banged up, I think Najee gets the majority of the carries, and I think he makes the most of it. I'm not saying that he'll have lots of yards or anything, but I think we get in the red zone, get within the 5, you're just going to see Najee getting the ball over and over again. 2 touchdowns by Najee. All right, and then I'm going to have Justin throwing a touchdown to Mr. George Pickens. So George Pickens, anytime touchdown scorer. Najee, 2+ touchdowns.
Jawuan?
There's no lines on it yet, so I can't give you the odds, but
So, all right. So I said 100 yards for Pickens. To be
Okay.
on the safe side, I'll say 90 if you want to be safe. But if you want to really ball out, that 100.
Century mark.
Okay. I have if Roman Wilson plays.
Ooh. Okay.
Okay.
Let's just start him off light. I give him 25 yards.
All right.
I
Give him
like
20
that, though. I like
25.
that.
I got Calvin Austin getting a touchdown.
Another touchdown. Back-to-back weeks for Calvin
Back-to-back
Austin.
weeks.
I like it.
I like it.
And it may not be on the offensive side.
Ooh.
Okay. Okay.
That's all I'm gonna say.
Interesting. Interesting.
That's all I'm gonna say.
I like that. I like that. Trey stole one of mine. I am also very confident, as well as George Pickens has been playing. He has not gotten in the end zone yet. And we know how much George likes to get in the end zone. Got the one in Denver taken away. I think, again, with this secondary and the way I think that play action is going to hit in the second half, again, I think they're going to run the ball heavy in the first half, keep it close, establish a run, and use that to open up some big plays. I got a big play George Pickens touchdown in this game, 50-plus yard touchdown. I think it's going to happen. Not putting that in the wager or anything, but again, anytime touchdown for George Pickens. And here's my fun one.
Let's hear it.
Minka Fitzpatrick interception.
He's due.
Book it.
He is due.
Book it.
I got this.
Minka has been quiet, and with the way that Richardson
throws
is
the
just
ball.
reckless with the ball and how he just aimlessly throws it up, whenever somebody aimlessly throws a ball up against our defense, there's one guy that goes and gets the ball.
I
and
got
that's
us getting
39.
too.
I think
I think that's the
Minka
jersey I'm wearing
Fitzpatrick
this weekend too.
goes and gets
Minka.
an interception.
Also, one more. No, 2 more. So you saying Minka?
Yeah.
I'm saying Patrick Queen finally show his hands because the last 2 weeks,
He said I needed it. Did you see his tweet?
Yeah.
He said I needed that.
the last 2 weeks, he just missed an easy pick. This needs to be the week that he gets his pick. This one needs to be the week. And Cordell Patterson, touchdown.
Ooh, okay.
You're throwing out all the touchdowns, man.
Haymakers, man.
He's got 24 points, so that's 3
three.
touchdowns and a field goal.
we have to because last year with Mitch, Justin,
We got to make up for that.
my boy Justin.
And
It's another
lastly,
week.
do we have a question for the day? You said
Yes,
we
we
said
do.
we had one of our listeners sent in a question. Jawuan puts out tweets on Twitter with the phone number that you can reach out. If you ever want a question, you can always comment on any of the posts. You can DM us. Any way you can reach us, we will answer your questions on the Steelers or anything that has to do with the team or any of the players. So, Jawuan, do we have the question ready to go?
Yes. Also, one more thing. If you want to leave a voicemail, the number is 615-669-7108. Wait, no, 7108.
Say it one more time.
615-669-7108.
All right, and we will post that graphic up on the video so that you will have it to look at.
So, the question is, if we're all in on Justin Fields, do we try to trade Russ for a wide receiver? If so, who? My pick is Jalen Waddle or Devontae Adams. This for my boy Malcolm in Atlanta.
I'm so glad we got that question because I did want to mention something like this. If we're all in agreement that we're rocking with Justin Fields, I still, my opinion is I still would like Russ to be there. If Russ is the one that wants out, then trade him. But I think I sent this graphic in the group chat today as well.
Mm-hmm.
I think that would be the perfect scenario. So The scenario was trading Russ to the Dolphins for a 4th-round pick, then flipping that 4th-round pick to go get DeAndre Hopkins from the Titans. Titans sitting at 0-3. They might be looking to offload some of those receivers. They already have Calvin Ridley. They have Tyler Boyd, and they have Mr. Traylon Burks. So I personally would love that, and I think D-Hop would fit perfectly in this offense. So that would be my thing. If we do, I don't want to trade Russ just yet, but if we do, that would be the person I would trade for.
I honestly don't think we should trade Russ at all. I don't even think.
That's
what?
Not where I'm at.
I don't think Russ.
I agree with you.
Yeah, I don't think Russ want to get traded. Especially, I mean, we're 3-0. I mean, I understand you're not playing, but
bro, if my thing is, if he sits behind Justin, say he thinks he's better than Justin or could do better for this team, and he wants to go to a team that he thinks can win. I think the Dolphins really need a quarterback. They still have a pretty solid team around them. They have receivers. I think he would fit in well in there. And if it gets to that point where Russ wants out, trade him. We're not losing anything.
That's only if he wants out.
It would be. I would be very surprised to see him want out, but yes,
I will say this. So I don't believe Justin Fields missed any games in his rookie year back in 2021, but he did miss 2 games in 2022, and then last year he missed 6 games due to injury. So that just comes with the territory. I mean, we see it with Lamar Jackson, we see it with other running quarterbacks. These guys tend to get banged up here and there, not necessarily big injuries, but when you're running the ball and you're taking a lot of hits, nicks and knacks here and there. You can miss a game, and if this team truly wants to be a competitor in the AFC, I want a security blanket. I'm with Jawuan, and I know that you're basically there too.
I'm just saying.
I don't want to trade Russ. I mean, again, if we're getting a fourth round pick to flip it, I mean, just give him our 4th-round pick. I mean, I don't care. If it helps this team this year, I don't need to trade Russell Wilson just to get a pick. Use the pick we got now. I'm all for going out and getting any of these receivers that are going to be, not overly expensive. I don't want to give up 1st-round picks for a receiver. Like, if we can give up a 3rd or a 4th for a guy that can easily come in and fit into that number 2 slot, I'm all about it. But I want this team to win. I want this team to be successful. This is the best defense that I have seen since 2010, and we went to the Super Bowl in 2010. And so with that being said, I don't believe in Kyle Allen that he can come in and win a game. I want to keep Russ for as long as humanly possible. I know Tomlin always says we want volunteers, not hostages. So obviously if, Russ comes in and says, hey, I don't want to be here anymore. I want to play somewhere. I know this team wants me. I get it. I get the philosophy, but if that's not going to be a distraction and we can keep him here as a security blanket for whatever happens this season, I absolutely want that to happen. So that's how I feel.
And that's where I'm at too. I also saw on Pat McAfee's show today, Bill Belichick said we might have the best quarterback situation in the NFL. I
mean, he's right.
Which is crazy to say, but like to have 2 starting caliber quarterbacks that you probably wouldn't miss much of a beat if Justin went down or Russ went down, like we've seen. It's a good spot to be in. Like I said, if we were to trade him or if he wanted out, that would be my pick.
All right. Anybody got anything else?
No, sir.
Yeah, I'm good.
All right. Kickoff is going to be at 1 p.m. Eastern, 12 Central against the Indianapolis Colts in Lucas Oil Stadium. All 3 of us will be there. If you want to come hang out, hit us up on the socials. And while you're there at the socials, like, subscribe, follow, reach out to us. We are on absolutely everything: Twitter, Facebook, TikTok, all of it, Threads. It doesn't matter. Reach out to us. We will be there. We'd love to see you. We'd love to talk some ball with you. Steelers, we all got them winning this weekend. Hopefully they get it done. Road to 4-0. We will be back next week with a full recap and also a big preview. Sunday Night Football, first primetime game for these boys against the Dallas Cowboys. We'll have that for you next week right here on the Stealing with the Boys podcast. But for now, we are out.
JF2, let's go.
See you in Indy on the road to 4-0.